put into the building at the time. A little bit later, but just as significant, is of course the Odeon Cinema. It had nothing to do with Grayson, but again that is of national significance, just because there was very little of this sort of scale being built in the UK at the time. And finally, just want to finish on what I think is a very significant building, although I've yet to convince anybody else, particularly our heritage people, of this. If this wasn't labelled, it might not be instantly recognisable, but I personally think it's worthy of admiration and further study. This is probably starting to look a bit more interesting, but it's Clos de Colleran along the west end of St Brelard's Bay. So it was built on land owned by Lady Trent and for the Burroughs family. That's Burroughs of Burroughs Gin. It was designed by Grayson, although at this stage my father had bought him out of the practice. My father's firm were executive architects before this. It was quite a troubled contract because Grayson was imperious as ever, and at one stage the client made an arrangement with the builder to add a door handle to a set of cupboards or something. Grayson discovered this, and there was a furious exchange of, I mean, we talk about email these days, but in those days they were telegrams, and you could ping telegrams backwards and forwards 4 times a day. So that was resolved in Grayson's favour, of course, and the client promised never again to ask the builder to do anything direct. Again, a little bit difficult to see on these slides, but absolutely marvellous, what we call in architectural circles couché. So there are little curved walls inside, there's an asymmetrical curved entrance, or rather there was. I think it has been reworked recently. I think the current generation of owners found it all wrong, that the building was, that the front door wasn't in the middle of the entrance, and wanted that corrected and done properly. This just shows Grayson trying to work out details of the extension. This was an open balcony, so I think very, very interesting building. Just some interior perspective showing the very delicate curved walls. And finally, a perspective I think done by, possibly not by Grayson, but possibly by Eric Baker, who my father had, just like Grayson, had brought over from England to work for him. But beautiful composition with the chimney offsetting and anchoring the bay on the right-hand side. And so finally, back to Les Lumières, and this is Sir Bob Murray's version of Les Lumières. He and Axis Mason have done their own reworking of it. I think every generation likes to think they understand previous generations. There's a lot of things about it that, if you picked up those details from what Jeremy was saying, are different. The peacock blue of the window frames has gone, and also the rooms were never whitewashed inside. There were no white interiors. They were all coloured, particularly the dining room, which had black ebonized walls it was said to offset the beautiful pale flesh of the ladies at the dining table. But all the bedrooms had different colours, pinks and greens and blues. Grayson decided at one stage to invent a new colour, a mixture of grey and beige, which he christened Greige. So we have a new colour in Jersey. So what lessons can we learn? Well, I think just to be bold and to be reflective of the situation and the culture that you find yourself in. I often spoke to my father about how he felt to be involved with this sort of groundbreaking architecture. He said, well, you just did what felt right. This, of course, in the days before assistance from planning and other friends at South Hill. Thank you very much. Sorry.
Arthur Grayson was born in 1900, he died in 1966. I'd like to think that the three of us, we haven't rehearsed this one, talked about it, but we thought it was a good idea to talk about, to make it public. I think the 66 years of his life have been adequately covered, his life, his work, and especially his burden. So if you've got any questions, I'm sure Jeremy's, Richard, and myself will do our best to answer them. It's history, yeah? It's history.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Most of the houses have a round window in. Was that Grayson's influence, or was it the practice influence?
As part of the
in fact, my house did originally have a round window, but it was, again, the plans was altered.
It's part of the 1930s thing, white cubist buildings, portholes, nautical, there's Corbusiers everywhere. Me, myself, I spent 20 years putting circles on housing schemes, you know, much to the annoyance of everyone in the room. I mean, you've no idea how difficult it's been to keep this alive, you know, because they would put pitch roofs on Grayson houses, and we try and object to that. They would replace Grayson gates, which are superb, Coronation Park, and you'd write in and the minister would think you're mad, you know, why are you so concerned? But somehow, even now, all this stuff's got to be kind of collated. You know, it's a book or a story or a film or something. And in Sir Bob Murray is well aware of Richard's comments, but the story continues to such an extent that Tristan here is doing a fantastic house next door to that, which is going to be Bob Murray's house, isn't it? So I'm not sure what's going to happen to La Limbia. One other small thing that is so important in a way is the path. There's a footpath running from the house towards the sea. And I was told, I never pursued, I was told that if you had a plan of that, it represented a particular astrological sign. That's what I'm told. And there's stories and stories and stories. Any more questions? If not, just two things to remind you. Still places on Friday afternoon for the Sterling Awards, 6 of Britain's greatest architects competing for the Sterling Prize. And we are raising money for a charity, so there's a bucket on the way out for Jersey Cheshire Homes and the Architects Benevolent Society. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you.